Let's bring you some breaking news that has come to us in the last minute or so from Buckingham Palace. His Majesty the King has today initiated a formal process to remove the style, titles and honours of Prince Andrew.
Behind closed doors, insiders say Meghan is equally rattled, worrying that the prince-princess branding tied to their children and their Hollywood deals could evaporate.
They actually tried to detonate a nuclear bomb on the monarchy that would destroy it forever. I'm never going to forget that.
And if Harry and Meghan are watching, they should be incredibly concerned, because if it's this simple to take away Prince Andrew's titles, one day it could be this easy to take away Harry and Meghan's titles.
This sends a huge warning shot to Harry and Meghan that they're next, that they are not untouchable.
I would love reconciliation with my family. I don't know how much longer my father has. He won't speak to me because of this security stuff. But it would be nice to reconcile. If they don't want that, that's entirely up to them.
Harry and Meghan have, in my opinion, lied about the British royal family.
Yes.
Those racism allegations were incredibly harmful. And what was your objective there? It was to harm the British royal family.
Harry and Meghan must be shocked and extremely nervous, because now it's not so shocking if William pulls the titles. This is the perfect excuse to set the tone.
A progressive new role within the royal family. While the royal family does modernise, I mean, the Queen sends tweets, it is an age-old institution. And I think that idea of tradition and everything we expect of the monarchy doesn't quite sit well with that idea of...
What the monarchy means for the monarchy.
Well, people are talking about it being a constitutional crisis, and I'm not sure it is a constitutional crisis. I mean, through circumstance and the Cambridges having 3 children, Harry slipped down from being the spare to the heir to the 6th.
They're willing to pull the trigger on Andrew, who knows a lot of secrets and everything. They're going to do it with him. It's going to be a piece of cake to get rid of Harry's titles.
He is one of the biggest hypocrites, if not the biggest hypocrite that I have ever seen have a public platform preaching from his ivory tower. It's just an embarrassment.
The way that they kept in contact with Epstein after he was convicted of pedophilia and sex trafficking. And that is really, really damning.
The title isn't sentimental, explains a LA strategist. It's leverage in every negotiation.
No one saw it coming. One cold morning in London, a single royal document changed decades of quiet tradition. King Charles III signed his name, and just like that, Prince Andrew was out.
Many of the sources are saying that we have to thank Prince William the Great, William the Conqueror, for this, because it's thanks to Prince William's pressure.
His titles, his roles, his privileges, gone.
An ordinary American girl from an ordinary American family has brought down a British prince.
The palace released barely a sentence, but the message was thunder loud. No royal is untouchable anymore. And while the public processed the fall of a disgraced duke.
And if Harry and Meghan are watching, they should be incredibly concerned, because if it's this simple to take away Prince Andrew's titles, one day it could be this easy to take away Harry and Meghan's titles.
Another name started echoing through headlines and group chats worldwide: Meghan Markle. Because if Charles could erase his own brother's titles,
Prince Harry is panicking. Could they strip his title next?
what stopped him from turning that same pen toward the couple who walked away from the crown? That question hit Montecito like a cold wave, and what happened next would expose just how fragile the Sussex world really is. To understand the panic now gripping Meghan and Harry, we have to start with the fall that caused it.
This means that Harry and Meghan are no longer safe. This means that you misbehaved.
Prince Andrew's downfall wasn't sudden. It was a slow collapse that stretched over years. But when King Charles finally acted, it happened in total silence. Royal aides later said the king spent weeks reviewing private reports and legal advice.
Claims that he'd never met her. He claimed in that Emily Maitlis interview he'd never met the woman that he paid £11 million to. Well, we learnt just a couple weeks ago that that actually wasn't true from leaked emails.
He knew the optics would be brutal. crucial. Removing royal honors from his own brother could divide the family forever. But public opinion left him no choice. Tabloids had turned Andrew into a permanent headline. Every photo, every whisper, every court document dragged the monarchy through another storm. And Charles, a man obsessed with the image of stability, understood something his mother once avoided.
More Andrew has no moral boundaries and exploited his role as trade envoy to line his pockets and chase women.
If you don't cut off the rot, the entire tree falls. So he acted, cold, fast, and final. When the statement dropped, Buckingham Palace didn't even call a press conference.
He actually emailed Epstein saying we can ride this one out and kind of we will be friends again.
It was a plain release sent to every major outlet. His Majesty the King has approved the withdrawal of the Duke of York's remaining military titles and royal patronages. No emotion, no defense, just a line in history that ended a royal career. The British public, long divided over Andrew's scandals, mostly applauded the move.
Once a palace is willing to demote blood princes, everyone should be nervous.
Social media exploded with comments like, "Finally," and "It's about time." For once, the monarchy looked decisive, but inside royal circles, the mood was different. A former aide told The Guardian, "Everyone knew the king had crossed a line that couldn't be uncrossed. If he could do it to Andrew, he could do it to anyone." And that's where the whispers began, whispers that would soon echo across the Atlantic.
He thought titles were untouchable. Now, he's not so sure.
Because while one royal lost his titles in disgrace, another royal couple was about to realize their own position wasn't as safe as they thought. For Meghan Markle, titles aren't just formality, they're identity.
A title isn't sentimental, explains a LA strategist. It's leverage in every negotiation.
The day she married Prince Harry, she became Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Sussex, a title personally granted by Queen Elizabeth II. That name opened doors that Hollywood fame never could. It turned a former actress into global royalty, a figure who could command headlines with a single appearance. But titles in the British monarchy come with invisible strings.
Meghan has a title, her own title. No, she's not a royal. She gets to use her husband's titles.
When Meghan and Harry stepped back from royal duties in 2020, they agreed to stop using HRH in professional contexts. They kept Duke and Duchess, but lost the status of active royals. To them, it was freedom. To the palace, it was compromise. And to the public, it was confusion. Were they royals, celebrities, or something in between? For years, that blurred line worked in Meghan's favor.
Those are idiots who are still spewing those things.
Duchess of Sussex made her a brand. Powerful, polished, profitable. Netflix, Spotify, and major publishers all built campaigns around the royal aura. But now, after King Charles's unprecedented move against Andrew, that aura feels fragile. Because Meghan's entire identity still depends on a title that the crown could, technically, take back.
Sets a precedent, definitely, for when William comes in and says, "Okay, Harry and Megs, you're out. Those titles are not, they're not staying."
Royal historian Robert Lacey told BBC News, "When the monarch acts once, he sets precedent. The Andrew decision makes every other title review easier. In other words, what was once unthinkable is now possible. And Meghan knows it. Those close to the couple say she's been monitoring palace decisions more closely than ever.
And this is an emergency statement because they know that something is about to break and they're working against time.
Every royal press release, every quiet change to the official website, every speech, she studies the tone, the choice of word. Because in the royal world, words are never random. A missing duchess here, or a quiet omission there, can signal a shift before it's public. That's why, when Andrew's removal was confirmed, Meghan didn't treat it as someone else's scandal.
Behind closed doors, insiders say Meghan is equally rattled, worrying that the prince-princess branding tied to their children and their Hollywood deals could evaporate.
She treated it as a forecast, a glimpse of what might happen if the palace ever decided it was time to sever the Sussex link completely. And deep down, she knows one thing. Without that link, the empire she and Harry built begins to shake. But the storm building in Montecito wasn't only about fear, it was about strategy and the question of how to survive if the crown turns its gaze west. When the Andrew story hit British airwaves, it was barely dawn in California.
Harry and Meghan are the next being eyed up, and now the fact that William has done this changes everything. Absolutely.
In Montecito, the luxury community Meghan and Harry call home, everything looked calm from the outside. Birds over the hills, the Pacific glittering behind manicured gardens. But inside their mansion, the mood was different. According to royal correspondents in both London and LA, the Sussex team knew instantly that this wasn't just another royal headline. It was a signal. If the crown could humiliate a brother of the king, it could easily question a couple who had walked away, sold their story, and built a media empire on royal DNA. Within hours, British talk shows were running panels titled, "Could Meghan and Harry be next?"
This sends a huge warning shot to Harry and Meghan that they're next, that they are not untouchable.
Clips circulated everywhere. Breakfast shows, YouTube, TikTok, podcasts. And every segment seemed to ask the same question. Why should the Sussexes keep their titles when they no longer serve the monarchy? For Meghan, those words hit harder than any tabloid insult.
His stomach dropped.
Because they attacked not just her past, but her value. Behind closed doors, she reportedly called an emergency meeting with her public relations team. They went through headlines line by line, studying tone and wording like surgeons reading x-rays. Some headlines were cruel, others were cautious. But together, they painted a single picture. The world was beginning to imagine a royal family without her. Harry, meanwhile, took the quieter route.
Harry and Meghan have, in my opinion, lied about the British royal family.
Yes.
Those racism allegations were incredibly harmful. And what was your objective there? It was to harm the British royal family.
Friends say he tried to calm her, reminding her that Charles had promised the family rift would never become official punishment. But even he sounded unsure, because the king's silence was starting to feel strategic, calm before correction. And that's the thing about the royal family. When they go quiet, they're planning something. By the end of the week, Meghan's staff began preparing statements just in case.
Now Harry's aides are scrambling. It looks like Harry is endorsing someone known for exaggeration, says a former network booker. That's terrible optics for a prince who already overshared.
They weren't about losing titles, not yet. They were about independence, personal legacy, and moving beyond labels. It was a subtle shift, but a telling one, because in media language, that's how you start rewriting your identity before someone else does it for you. And the world noticed.
Harry and Meghan must be shocked and insanely nervous, because now it's not so shocking if William pulls the titles. This is the perfect excuse to set the tone.
One commentator on Sky News said it bluntly. Montecito looks calm, but this was a warning shot. They've been put on notice, but for Meghan, warnings are challenges. And what she did next proved she had no intention of waiting for the palace to decide her fate. Within days, Meghan's public calendar filled up.
Was released just a couple of days after Meghan actually went one step further and didn't only post the behinds of the children and sort of the side view, she actually did post their faces all together.
Photos of her visiting schools, charity events, and women's organizations appeared across social media. Her team made sure every caption repeated the same introduction. Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex. It looked casual, but it was a deliberate statement. The repetition was armor, a reminder to the world and to the palace that the title was still hers. Meanwhile, she revived her lifestyle brand that had been dormant for years.
Prince Harry thought he was booking a cute comedy cameo. Instead, he stepped straight into a culture war minefield.
Fashion pages framed it as a new era of independence. But behind that glossy marketing language was a much sharper message. I don't need the palace to shine. Analysts saw through it instantly.
Harry and Meghan have told lies to elevate themselves and to intentionally hurt the institution.
Royal commentator Sarah Hewson told GB News, Meghan's building a backup empire. If the crown ever cuts her off, she'll pivot overnight. That's the thing about Meghan. She understands narrative control. Every outfit, every camera angle, every quote is part of a strategy. And right now, that strategy is survival. But even the best PR can't rewrite royal history.
He is one of the biggest hypocrites, if not the biggest hypocrite that I have ever seen have a public platform preaching from his ivory tower. It's just an embarrassment.
Inside Britain, a quiet resentment was growing. Many believed the Sussexes had used their titles while criticizing the very institution that gave them. Polls showed more than half of Britons supported removing their dukedom altogether. For King Charles, that statistic mattered. He doesn't rule through popularity, but he measures it like weather. And when the winds turn cold, he adjusts course. So as Meghan pushed forward publicly, the palace pulled back privately.
But of course, the real measure of success of both of them will be the same as it always has been. How much damage can they inflict on our royal family, on our monarchy? I said it before, I'll say it again tonight. King Charles should strip them of all their remaining titles and cast them out from any connection to the royal family. How could any of them trust them, as far as I could throw them? Because without it, they're just whining millennial windbags with a permanent victim complex, knowing that victimhood is what makes them all the money.
Sources close to court reporters said the Sussex name was being used less and less in official briefings. Fewer photos, fewer mentions. It wasn't punishment, it was erasure through omission. And that's something no PR campaign can fix. By early summer, commentators began referring to it as the quiet freeze. The palace wasn't fighting them anymore. It was simply pretending they didn't exist. And for a couple who built an empire on visibility, invisibility is the ultimate threat. Still, Meghan refused to flinch.
Maybe William will grant Harry's his wish that he never wanted to be a prince, that he wants to be a regular guy. Grant.
She doubled down on appearances, hosted panels about leadership, and smiled through interviews that barely mentioned the royal family. But behind that confidence, one question hung in the air. What if Charles really made the next move? Because no matter how far she ran, one fact remained. Her title wasn't hers to keep. While Meghan moved to secure her image, King Charles was moving in a very different way.
They're all snakes. They're all thinking of themselves. They're not even thinking of the monarchy, which really pisses me off.
Not through interviews, not through statements, through silence, the most powerful weapon the crown owns. Behind those palace walls, a quiet strategy was forming. Charles wanted to rebuild what decades of drama had damaged.
They actually tried to detonate a nuclear bomb on the monarchy that would destroy it forever. I'm never going to forget that.
The idea that the monarchy still stands for discipline, duty, and continuity. And to do that, he needed to show that titles mean something again. For too long, royal names had turned into headlines instead of honors. Andrew's scandals, Harry's memoir, Meghan's talk show moments. Each one chipped away at the institution's mystique. So Charles began reshaping the family itself.
That they have threatened Charles is either Andrew or it's you, because Charles does not come out of this one clean.
He cut expenses, limited appearances, and placed the spotlight only on those still serving. William, Kate, and a handful of senior royals who understood the rules. Insiders called it the streamlining. It wasn't about revenge, it was about optics. Every monarchy survives on two currencies, relevance and respect. Lose either one and you're finished. That's why Andrew's public fall mattered so much.
Harry is a diplomatic risk, I personally believe, by still retaining those titles. He certainly causes diplomatic friction.
It wasn't just punishment, it was a warning. The king was showing Britain that even blood relatives would be held accountable. And when the public applauded, Charles saw his proof of concept. Approval ratings rose. Headlines praised his decisiveness. Suddenly, the idea of tightening control didn't look risky. It looked popular. That's when the whispers started again inside the palace corridors.
They're willing to pull the trigger on Andrew, who knows a lot of secrets and everything. They're going to do it with him. It's going to be a piece of cake to get rid of Harry's titles.
If removing Andrew won applause, what about the Sussexes? Could another decisive move win the king another wave of support? Nobody said it out loud, but everyone felt it. The crown doesn't need to punish twice to make its point. It just needs to make people wonder if it will. And right now, that uncertainty was doing the work for them. Because while Meghan tried to dominate headlines, the monarchy quietly made her unpredictable future part of its new narrative, the crown reclaiming control. For Meghan, the title Duchess of Sussex isn't just ceremonial, it's her passport to credibility.
Harry has publicly downplayed the importance of royal styling, but watching one erased in real time shook him.
Every introduction, every keynote, every endorsement begins with that phrase. Remove it, and the brand she's spent 5 years building suddenly becomes Meghan Markle, the public figure, not Meghan the royal insider. That single distinction changes everything, from appearance fees to global attention. Because the world doesn't just love celebrities, it loves the illusion of royalty.
How can he sit there with a straight face and talk about parents making sure that they don't post their children online when his wife is doing it, what, every few days?
Losing the title would also affect her children. Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet only received their royal styles after Charles became king. If he ever reversed that decision, they'd lose the titles too. And that would make headlines big enough to define their lives. Behind the scenes, Meghan's team has almost certainly discussed every scenario. She's too strategic not to. They would have contingency plans, rebranding campaigns, legal reviews, even timing strategies for major announcements if the palace ever made its move. Still, even the best planned defense can't stop perception. If the monarchy declares your title revoked, the story writes itself. Meghan Markle stripped of royal status. It would dominate screens for weeks. Yet inside that chaos lies an opportunity, and Meghan knows it.
Andrew embarked on a series of taxpayer-funded trips that doubled as holidays.
Because controversy drives attention, and attention drives relevance. If the crown ever did remove her title, she could flip the narrative overnight, position herself as the outsider once again, the woman rejected for speaking truth, the one who challenged the system. In that version of the story, losing the title isn't defeat, it's rebirth. She's played that role before, and it worked. The Netflix documentary, the interviews, the memoir, all framed her as the one voice that dared to break silence. For her, another public showdown might be dangerous, but it might also be profitable.
Major breaking news out of London. Buckingham Palace announcing Harry and Meghan will no longer formally represent the Queen. That means they will no longer receive public funds and they will stop using their royal titles. Those changes will take effect this spring. So Katie Nicholl is now joining.
It's my pleasure. It's a big news story. As you can imagine over here, it really has, well, the phone hasn't stopped ringing, put it that way.
And in terms of your initial reaction to this latest news, that in fact it feels like it's a full removal in the sense of not just senior royal duties, but
still, that's a gamble even Hollywood might fear. Because once a royal title disappears, it never comes back. It's not a suspended account. It's erasure from centuries of legacy. And somewhere deep down, Meghan understands that difference. Freedom feels powerful until it starts costing the thing that made you famous in the first place. So every photo she posts, every project she launches, every word she says carries a hidden urgency. Keep the brand alive before the title dies. In London, the palace no longer talks about the Sussexes publicly.
The royal family, all the royals, the house, the position of the House of Windsor is saying, we side with the victims because they know that there are victims.
There are no statements, no confirmations, not even quiet denials. And that's exactly how they want it. Because silence from the crown isn't absence, it's strategy. Every royal insider knows, when Buckingham Palace goes quiet, something's being planned. Charles has learned the art of control through patience. His mother mastered it. Decisions come not in bursts, but in layers. Small adjustments that, when added together, change everything. First came the removal of Andrew's roles. Then came subtle edits on the royal website. Fewer mentions of Harry and Meghan. Smaller photos, less prominence in official documents. Each change seemed minor, but together, they started rewriting royal history one pixel at a time. Meanwhile, inside Montecito, Meghan and Harry could feel that distance growing.
The fact that he had to go on a podcast to express how he really feels about this because he's actually too scared to sit down.
It wasn't just about titles anymore, it was about relevance. The less they appeared in royal materials, the less real their connection to the crown became. And that's the danger. Because once the public stops associating you with the institution, your royal influence fades, no matter what your passport says. But Charles's chessboard doesn't end there.
This means that Harry and Meghan are no longer safe. This means that you misbehave.
He's quietly reinforcing the next generation, William, Kate, and their children. Public events now focus on them as the future. Every smile, every photo op, every headline about William's sense of duty subtly pushes Harry and Meghan further into the shadows. It's not punishment, it's succession planning. The crown doesn't shout its victories. It outlasts its opponents.
Anyone tied to Andrew is now radioactive. After decades of unwavering loyalty, Fergie may be preparing the most shocking decision of her life, walking away permanently.
And yet, for Meghan, every day that the palace stays silent feels like standing on thin ice. You never know when the next crack will appear. That tension has become part of the global fascination with her story. It's why clips about her go viral, why her name still fills thumbnails, and why millions of viewers tune in every time someone whispers, "This could be it." Because love her or hate her, Meghan represents something bigger than gossip, the risk of defying tradition in front of the entire world. And that, ironically, is what keeps her relevant, even as the crown quietly erases her. Inside Buckingham Palace, there's a phrase that every monarch learns.
The royal family, all the royals, the house, the position of the House of Windsor is saying, we side with the victims because they know that there are victims.
The institution must outlive the individual. It's not about cruelty, it's about survival. The monarchy has endured wars, divorces, scandals, and rebellions because it always sacrifices people to protect the symbol. Right now, King Charles is trying to prove that the crown can still evolve, that it can remove the parts that weaken it and preserve what still commands respect. That's why Andrew's fall matters.
And this is an emergency statement because they know that something is about to break and they're working against time.
It's not just a family decision, it's a message to the world. The monarchy is not a soap opera, at least not anymore. For the first time in decades, the king is running the royal family like a brand. He studies data, monitors headlines, and shapes perception. When public trust drops, he adjusts. When support rises, he consolidates. And what's remarkable is that it's working. After Andrew's removal, approval ratings spiked. Public trust increased. For Charles, that was validation, a modern crown that can survive modern scandal. So when people ask whether Meghan and Harry could really lose their titles,
Harry and Meghan must be shocked and insanely nervous, because now it's not so shocking if William pulls the titles. This is the perfect excuse to set the tone.
royal insiders give the same answer. Yes, if the public demands it. Because in today's world, power isn't about bloodlines anymore. It's about perception. If the people lose faith, the monarchy moves. And that's the one thing Meghan can't control from California: British public opinion. Every podcast, every interview, every Netflix confession is another roll of the dice.
It's more sinister than that. It is a risk. And indeed, Prince Harry absolutely embarrassed himself at the base.
Sometimes they win sympathy. Other times, they deepen the divide. And the palace is simply waiting, watching, measuring, calculating the right moment. When it comes, it won't be a loud explosion. It'll be quiet. A letter, a statement, a headline reading. His Majesty confirms adjustments to titles. And just like that, history would shift again. But until that day comes, the standoff continues. Two sides playing chess across an ocean.
Harry and Meghan are the next being eyed up. And now the fact that William has done this changes everything. Absolutely.
Both pretending not to care who moves next. As night falls over London, the palace lights stay on longer than usual.
This is a combination of Prince William in Parliament putting pressure on Charles.
Somewhere behind those golden windows, decisions are being weighed, words drafted, futures decided. In Montecito, another light glows, Meghan's study, where her team still monitors every royal update like a heartbeat monitor. Because even 5,000 miles away, the shadow of the crown still stretches to California. Prince Andrew's downfall proved something few expected.
I suspect that she was trying to protect who we know to be her favorite son.
Mommy's favorite boy.
Royalty isn't permanent, and titles aren't forever. They can vanish with a signature. For Meghan, that reality cuts deep. She's built a new life, a new image, a new empire, but it's still wrapped in a royal title that she doesn't own. And that's what makes this story so addictive.
Prince Harry is panicking. Could they strip his title next?
It's not just about scandal or family drama. It's about power, the kind that can lift you to global fame and the kind that can erase you overnight.
This sends a huge warning shot to Harry and Meghan that they're next, that they are not untouchable.
Because in the world of royalty, crowns don't glitter for everyone. They gleam for those the king allows to shine and disappear for those he no longer does. So when people ask, could Meghan Markle really be next? The answer is simple: not yet. But the pen is ready.